one established in continence, vigor is gained. By getting established in continence or celibacy, we save energy. Virya means vital energy. Labha means profit. When there is no loss of virya, we gain energy. What we gain by this saving is worth knowing. In the name of loving and giving, many times we lose this energy and become mentally and physically depleted. If we are not strong mentally and physically, we can never gain real spiritual wealth. When non-greed is confirmed, a thorough illumination of the how and why of one's birth comes. When the mind becomes this calm and clear, by being free of desires and obligations, we gain the capacity to see how our desires caused our present birth. We directly see the cause and effect relationship because we are detached from it. We are no longer bound up with it.
Talking about world peace, and it begins with us. And that's really all we can do. And when we do that, we change the energy, the frequency around us. We change it. So every time you get a bit down and you feel, and give excuses. I mean, because nowadays everybody's got so many conditions. They go to the doctor and everybody's giving them, each person a condition. Like, no, you don't have a condition. It's very normal that you have down days. It's very normal that you go off. So it's not that you're going crazy or you're not a nice person. You just don't know how to heal yourself. So learn to heal yourself. And this is what we're all about here. Each one of us has to learn how to heal ourselves from darkness to the light. And there's a reason why we are in darkness. And today we're going to talk about it when we go to tapas, accepting pain for purification. So we'll continue on our journey of Sri Patanjali. And for those who don't know Sri Patanjali, it doesn't matter. He was the greatest scientist, mental scientist, psychologist. And he goes back to 3,000 years. Human beings haven't changed. It's all in our thoughts. We haven't changed. They put new words to this teaching. They call it neuroplasticity. They call it epigenetics. But it was always there. Practice changing your thought waves for a long time without a break and all your heart, and you will succeed to be the person you were born to be. Because what we weren't taught, that as we think is how we become in our lives. So where we need to work is right here. And the medicine is right in us. And that's where the divine comes from. Whatever you want to call it, higher self, God, whatever you want to call it, really, really think about this. Sometimes we need a personal image to make it real, and that's why you have teachers and forms of gurus. But I suggest to people, get the knowledge and then awaken the guru within you. Because really, the only real healer is you. You know your thoughts when you're in your bed. Do you remember the old song by Peter Sasted? Where do you go to, my lovely, when you're alone in your bed? What are the thoughts that surround you? I want to look inside your head. Yes, I do. Yeah. Because we don't know what goes on people's head. Thank God some of you know this song. In Gibraltar, whenever I tell them, whenever I talk about a song, they all look at me blank. I'm much older. I come from a different era, I come from a different era. It's so nice that you know this song. And it's exactly that. What goes on in your head, only you know. And sometimes you don't even know because we're not taught to watch the thoughts. So we think we are our thoughts. And so the thoughts come and we think, I have this thought, so therefore I am depressed. But you are not depressed. The I is watching the sad thoughts and thinks those sad thoughts is them. No, they could be sad thoughts for a moment, a day. It doesn't have to be forever. You're not doomed. None of us are. And this is the life force that we awaken in ourselves. We call it prana, or the Chinese call it chi, or the Japanese call it ki. And this is the life force that we are meant to build up in ourselves. But we keep forgetting because we're not taught from young. We just taught that we're sinners and, follow whatever you want and do, and And then we get so confused. So this is why I love our beloved Sri Patanjali. 3,000 years ago, still valid today. So today, as we continue our study, we are going to go to the niyamas. What do the niyamas mean? The niyamas means observances. Things that you have to observe within yourself, your own mind. What do you have to look at in your own mind? And the first one he starts with on the niyamas is, and this may sound really strong, and I'll explain it better, okay? Don't forget, this was 3,000 years ago. He says, by purification arises disgust, and I'm going to change the word for detachment, for one's own body and for contact with other bodies. Now, socha is the word that he uses here, which means purity. So first of all, you have to understand what purity means, okay? What is purity to any of you? Anybody? And if anybody wants to say it on Zoom, put up your hand and Les will tell you.
Clearness of mind, free-minded, free-spirited.
Yes, you feel quite clear. It's clear. When you think of pure water, it's clear. It's no judgment, right? It's just clear. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just clear. Okay? So here, what he's saying, by purification, what we need to do and work with ourselves is purify your mind. Watch your thoughts. And that's what my master told me when the first time, that trip that he came to Gibraltar. And when he left, I said, how do I do this? And he said, purify your mind was the instruction. So I sat down to meditate and looked at the mind. I thought my mind was pretty clear, but it wasn't at all. In fact, I saw my mind was diseased totally, because the first thoughts that came up were, I had anger towards somebody at that time who had caused me a lot of pain. What would come up first? That. So anger. Then the feeling, I don't deserve this. So resentment. And then complaining. And I go, oh my God, I have a lot of work to do here. My mind is so messed up. How could I find peace? And that was a shock. It was a little shock. It was such a shock to me that I thought, I have a lifetime. I better start right now. And how do you do it? How do you do it when people hurt you? How do you do it? So throughout the years, I learned to forgive. I learned to let go, but it took time. And I just had to work on it because I wanted to be free. I wanted to be free. I wanted to bring world peace. So I had to do it first. Otherwise, how can I help anybody? I would be fake. I wouldn't be authentic. And this is what we all need to do. It's because when we feel authentic, then we kind of love ourselves a little bit better. We like ourselves a little better. We want to do, we get more creative. We become more proactive in life. We don't stand back, but we nurture life. We nurture people around us. We nurture everything. We nurture nature. We just nurture. And I wanted to be that nurturing person. So I had no choice. And I think everybody here that I work with has that feeling. And in my work in the last 30 years with so many people, with so much consultation, everybody just wants to love. And when they do something wrong, they really, when they hurt other people and they realize they really go through tremendous pain. And I have to teach them how to forgive themselves. Not even other people, themselves. They say, oh, Nalini, but you don't know I did this and I hurt this person. Okay, you've come here and you want to forgive yourself. So then we teach them purification of the mind. Forgive yourself first, then forgive those who hurt you, and then the mind becomes quiet. Now, this is a process, please. And this is what happens with human beings. We don't have patience with ourselves. We want the quick fixes. You can go to a million therapists and you can ask for a quick fix, but unless you fix it for yourself, it won't be fixed. I can tell you, you get a lot of help, assistance, which is great. You need assistance. They will help you. There's so many ways, massage, there's so many gongs and so many practices, but really the one that heals is when you shift your thought pattern. And I have seen that. And when they follow their own, these wonderful rules of life, of non-violence, truthfulness, non-greed, non-stealing, then everything purifies in the mind by itself. All those things drop you because you love feeling good. You don't want to feel any other way. That when you start to feel bad, it's like, oh my God, you notice it. And what I used to use as an example for myself, when I started practicing purifying the mind, I imagined it was a white cloth, okay? No, it was a black cloth. And you put a drop of coffee on the black cloth. You don't see it. And that's how my mind was. So I may have done more negative things, but I couldn't see it. As I started practicing and cleaning out the mind, it's like going to the laundry, putting myself in a washing machine. What happened? The cloth became white. And a drop of coffee there, and what happens? You see it immediately. Oh my God, I'm in a bad temper today. Where did it come from? Ego, expectation, I want, clinging, craving, I need. It came from there. I have to have. And I thought, whoa, now I know the source of my anger. Do I really need all this stuff? No. So what's going on here, Nelanie? Selfishness. Thinking again and again and again that the world outside can provide me with peace. Yes, it can, by good friends and lovely homes and but inner peace? I got to take that thought and understand why I have it and why I feel I cannot be happy without it. And then when you examine it and you realize, oh my God, I don't want that spot of coffee. Put it in the washing machine, and it becomes easier. The work becomes easier. As you get good at this, it gets really easier. Because the moment you have a negative thought, you don't want to bother yourself. You prefer the peace. And that's what happens naturally. I can't be bothered with this. And if it takes a long time, then you just I used to in the early days just withdraw into my room. And I remember my poor husband, he really saw me go through this. Bless him. My late husband, he's died 15 years ago. And I used to tell him, I'm really not in a good place. I'm having a problem with my own ego, and I feel like blaming somebody else, but there's no one to blame. So please, I need to get through this myself. Forgive me. I'm in a bad place, and just leave me. Leave me alone. I'm so sorry. I'm in a bad place. And I would sleep, and I would be fine after 2 hours. I just needed that rest to stop that crazy mind. Okay? So you find your own methods. Everybody has their own methods. But when you purify the mind, then life becomes really so much fun. Why does he say disgust for one's own body and contact with other bodies? Here he's also talking about the body. Okay? We're all, especially today with all that's going on in social media, everybody's very body conscious. Everybody thinks they have to be perfect in order to, in order to belong in this world. So we become so body conscious. But when you practice with your mind, your thoughts in purity, what happens? A natural detachment to the body happens because you start to really observe and see who you really are. You start to see, because the mind is clear. When the mind is clear, you see what's really real. And what is really real, you start to see is, look at my life. I was a baby, and then I suddenly was 18 years old. And then suddenly at that time when I started, I go, and now I'm suddenly 40 something. My children now are 20 years old. What happened? What's going to happen from here? And suddenly I saw the picture of my life, and all lives are going to come, and we're going to leave. We're going to leave this planet. And then came the determination. I don't want to leave this planet without enjoying it. I don't want to leave this planet without loving it. But I want to feel it here for me. I want to feel it in my gut. I don't want to be full of fear, anxiety. I don't want to pretend to be somebody else. I want to be me. And if people love me, I don't want to be scared that they don't like me for who I am because I want to love. I just have to be me. And I think we all need that to feel alive, because our personalities are given to us for a reason, and I always say this, the discovery was God wanted to know God in all of us in the best way possible and the happiest we could be. The Garden of Eden was here. It was not anywhere else. And it was all like this play that I saw in front of me, and my life became a play. And then you start to realize the body. And I remember, and I often tell this story, and I had the scar to prove it. So when I was going through this, what am I? I'm not this body. I'm really not this body, but I believed I was the body. So when I had this huge lump here, a cyst, I had to get it removed, and it was locally, so it was he gave me general anesthetic, local anesthetic, and he said, don't watch. And I go, I need to watch. And he said, but if you watch, you may faint. Some people faint. I said, doctor, I'm learning about my body. I'm learning that I'm spirit in the body. I want to see what my body is. He really thought I was pretty kooky. But he looked at me, okay. And so he cut it, and then he opened it up. And actually, I didn't realize that the lump was so deep inside. And he opened the skin. And the first thing I thought, in those days I cooked meat for my husband, even though I was a vegetarian. I go, correct, you got it, you saw what I saw. I said, I look like a piece of chicken breast inside. It was really quite creepy. And so, that was like, wow, I'm really just a piece of me, I really am. I'm the body is. I'm much more than this. So then the obsession to have the body, I was in the fashion business at that time. Every morning, 45 minutes wasted. What should I wear to work? After that, cut. I'm not going to do this anymore. Make my life simple. Just whatever, I'm going to give myself 2 minutes. And I trained myself, not more time. Until today, it takes me, I don't think anything. I get up in the morning, I just go, okay, today it's you, and that's it, done. Time became precious. Look nice. We always have to look nice, because that's also purity of body. Look nice, but don't be obsessed. Yeah, it's true. How much time we waste, right, in life? But purity means also always looking after your body. It doesn't mean you don't, bathe it, look after it. And as St. Paul said, it is our temple. It is our temple. So we need to look after it. We need to care for it. We need to do good things for it, but not obsessive. You got it? So, and disgust is just realizing that, if you really look at the body, so sorry. Perspires, it smells, you brush your teeth every morning, you have to wash your hair, go to the loo. Actually, it's quite an interesting instrument, isn't it? To be quite honest. It's kind of, yucks, Isn't it true? To clean a nappy, dog does poo, yucks. You do that yourself. Do you know what I'm saying? You just get so realistic about your body that you realize, okay, let's just do what is necessary, look after it, eat the right foods. Eat the right foods for it, because you need to do that, because it's your temple. So you become very clear, pure, what amount of time you're going to spend looking after the body, and what amount of time you're going to spend looking after this mind, and how much time do you want to spend with that part of you that is spirit, that is energy? Because that part of you is going to last far more than you in this body. Far, far, far longer. They say eternal, but none of us know how long eternal is. None of us know. So, and then you start to work on yourself. And when you do that, what happens? Sri Patanjali tells us in the next sutra, moreover, one gains purity of sattva. What does sattva mean? Sattva means in a state of peacefulness, in a state of illumination. What does illumination mean? Your mind becomes very bright, very clear, so you can receive messages very quickly. You can discriminate what's good for you and what's not good for you very quickly, because you're not judging, right? Because clarity is you're not judging, what I started to talk about right at the beginning. So everything is very clear. So there's no misjudgment. And that makes your life so much better. It's like I said, one of the greatest gifts I got from this study was, I used to say yes to everybody and I get frustrated and angry. I learned to say no. Because to say yes and then feel I can't do it and get frustrated and get angry was not pure thinking. So I had to be truthful. I said, sorry, this doesn't work for me. I hope you don't mind. And that way there was nothing in the mind because I was truthful. And it wasn't ever meant to hurt anyone. It was just being truthful in the kindest of ways to everyone. So you get a very clear mind. And the other thing is cheerfulness of mind. Of course, if your mind is clear, not judging anybody, and you're just like, you want to dance, you want to sing, you get happy, right? You're cheerful. Isn't it true? Okay, so let's say you go out with a group of friends and you're all talking about lovely things, and when you finish, don't you feel like the mind's so clear? You just want to laugh and you want to go home and feel so cozy and you have nice dreams because everybody's on the same kind of energy field. You're all on par with each other. And so then you feel cheerful. And maybe if somebody else isn't, your energy can transmit to them because you're really feeling cheerful from deep within and you're really not judging anybody, even if they're in a bad place. They easily get healed by your cheerfulness. Easily. Because they can feel you're not judging them and you're just lifting them. You're not changing them. You're just lifting just by being you. Just by being happy you, peaceful you lift people. And you know that. You all know that, I'm sure. Because when you're very peaceful or something, people start to walk up to you and ask for your help or want to talk to you or they want to befriend you. They just want to befriend you because they feel that energy. There's some energy in you and they want it. It's all done on a very subtle soul level, so subtle, but it's all working on frequencies. And when you're very aware of it, you just go home and again you get a really nice feeling that, oh, I made the world a little better today. As Les always tells me, if one soul is touched, the long journey is worth the taking. Sometimes as spiritual people, it feels like a long journey, doesn't it? It feels long, doesn't it? Sometimes when you're spiritual and your love for humanity, and then sometimes you see humanity and you go, you know, and when people you love suddenly turn on you, right? And, you know, we bear insult, bear injury. And sometimes you're just like, it's okay they turn on me, but I'm a little tired. I'm getting a little old for this, you know. You kind of, and this kind of statement makes you like, stop the nonsense. Do you know what I mean? Just stop the nonsense, and you get yourself inspired again, because we're all here for that reason. And then it says, cheerfulness of mind, one-pointedness. Now, when your mind is pure, can you meditate? Easily. Easily. Because when your mind's all over the place, really you can't. It's impossible to sit down and meditate. But I always tell people, you try, because at least what you're doing the first years is understanding your thought pattern. You're being able to study the way you're thinking, and you can change it. So the first years, what you're really doing for me when these phones came up is you're deleting the bad messages and you're putting new programs in. And that's how I looked at it. Delete, 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 put in a new one. Something good, something positive, till the new one becomes the real you, because it's pure now. There's no contamination anymore, right? So this is what happens, and then you're able to meditate. And then finally, mastery over the senses. Wow. What is mastery over the senses? That you start to understand that your desires don't overcome you. You are in control of your desires. Your addictions don't control you. You are in control of your addictions. But this you that is in control of your addictions is not the you that is telling you off or scolding you or judging you. It is that pure you from a higher place saying, you don't need any of it. You're much more than that. You're much more, and you hear it. You actually hear it from your soul. You're much more than that. And of course, when you start to enjoy the peace, then you don't want things that take away your peace naturally. Naturally, right? So, for example, I always use a simple thing like chocolate, I used to eat a bar of dairy milk every day, a big bar. And I used to be skinny. Heaven knows. But I used to have about every single day Cadbury's dairy milk. And of course it wasn't good for me because I was an asthmatic. I was kind of addicted to it. And it's not good for asthmatics because it produces mucus. So when I started practicing, I want to look after my body now also. So what I did was I stopped. I said once a week, I knew my mind. So I said, once a week, on a Saturday, I'll have dairy milk. So when I did that, the first week, I couldn't wait till Saturday. When Saturday came, I had the bar. And it wasn't as delicious as I remembered it. So I did this for 3 or 4 weeks. By the time the 5th week came, I didn't even remember it was Saturday anymore. I didn't remember it was, and this is kind of like the mind. You do the same thing with your mind. And then you go, wow. And then it's so peaceful because you don't even have to think that you don't want it. And now, whenever I want, I get those little 1 pieces and I have 1 piece at a time. And I love it. I love it. And it's so good for me. But it's with a joyful control, a peaceful control. I mastered something that I was so attached to. I'm just talking about food, but then when you start to do it with emotions, that's far deeper. That's far more difficult. But if you practice with easy things, what happens is you practice with physical things first because that's easier. And then you practice on your emotions. Are you the sort of person that always judges people and you watch your mind? Am I judging this one, this one, this one? Why am I doing this? Why do I have the need to feel superior to anybody else? It shows that I don't feel sufficient enough. I need to put somebody down to make myself feel better. Gosh, that's awful. That's not even nice. And then I don't want to be like that anymore. I don't want this anymore. And then you start to really enjoy your life because it comes in, negative comes in, and it goes out. And then you are fit for self-realization, which is our goal, right? What is the spiritual goal? Self-realization. What is self-realization? People think self-realization is in like this umming all day long. Hello? You'll be no use to the world. I mean, there are few people who need to do that to pray for our world, but they're very, very special souls, and they can't be in this world because the energy is too powerful. But most of us are here in the world to do something, and we're given people, families, etc. If you look around you, we talked about last week, when you practice non-greed, you start to understand why you came into this world, to the family you came into, and why you're where you are today. You start to understand, everything clicks into place. And when you understand that, then there's no regret for what's happened. Everything that's happened had to take you to where you are today. If it didn't happen, you wouldn't be where you are today. You chose this journey. So stop complaining and let's enjoy it. And that's what purity of mind does for you. And then you start to realize, really, I'm really not this body, I'm not this mind, immortal self I am. That master of my master, Master Shivananda, used to chant that all day long. And we'll chant it now, everyone, and Zoom as well. I'm not this body, I'm not this mind, immortal self I am. Because it's true. It's the real truth, and that self-realization, that's all it is. Really, that you really know that this body is on loan and it doesn't belong to you, it's on loan. And if you've got a really good body this time, thank you. Now let's do something great with it. Let's do something great. Great doesn't have to be big things. Great can be in the smallest things in the world. Sometimes the smallest actions are the greatest actions. It doesn't have to be a big thing. You know, I'll give you an example. When my husband was alive and I was practicing this, right? And he used to, and I used to be like so pathetic. Oh, darling, you haven't said you love me, right? And then when I started this practice, I stopped saying that. And he used to say to me, but tell me, how can you even think that? When the first thing in the morning, I get up and I bring you a hot glass of water for your meditation. Every morning, I put it next to you. I may not say it, but shouldn't my actions speak it? Boom. Big lesson. And that act of love is so precious. And when he died, that's what I miss, those little things. When you look at life and the mind is pure, you observe. You look at life, you look at how people live their life, and then you start to say, how do I want to live it? I want to live each moment as magically as possible. As possible. In this world's not possible, right? But at least the times that it's possible, you have the control over it. You have the control. Say, okay, maybe my mind is a little wonky at the moment. This is just my human personality. Just let it for a while. But I am not this mind. I'm not this mind. I'm not this mind. And then you start laughing after a little while. You look at yourself and you say, how funny I am. And that's how you play light on yourself. You don't, it's, falling in love with the divine is not judging yourself, it's finding solutions to the part you don't like that keeps you away from that communication with God or your inner self. Anything that keeps you away from it, no, I don't want it, because that communication that you feel, I say this because this is where I feel it, right here, and it just makes you feel so whole, so fulfilled, so in a cocoon, a beautiful cocoon. And that's how I think we all should feel in life. So that keeps us from that. We go to the next sutra. And this is one of our favorite because it really sounds so simple. By contentment, supreme joy is gained. And will you all do this with me? Because that action makes you feel so free. By contentment, supreme joy is gained. And that's really true. When you're content, you are joyful, right? And this is the way you get up in the morning and you say, I'm content. And if you're not, ask yourself why. Why am I not content? Don't judge it, ask it. And if there's really something you want in your life, ask. Give it to me if it can be done. Just ask. Because even in our yoga mantras, it says, Om united with the source. That means when you're united with the source, with that energy called Om, that vibration, that frequency, on which the yogis ever dwell. We are constantly connected, grants desires and liberations. It gives you whatever you want, and it will also liberate you from it, that desire. So you I examine that mantra. Grants desire. So if you really have a desire, say, if it's good for me, if it's good for me and everybody else around me, allow it. Allow it. Allow it to happen. Because sometimes when something is good for somebody, they're so scared because they've been hurt in the past or they've had many bad experiences. They kind of get scared and they don't allow it. They don't allow things. Or they're scared that they're going to be lonely and old, so they allow things that they shouldn't allow. So it liberates you from both sides of things. And contentment. And whenever you feel discontent, count the things that make you happy. Just count the things that make you happy. And when you're going through a difficult time, count the things that make you happy. The simple things that make you happy. Not the big things, because sometimes you can't have the big things. But you can always have, especially all of us in this room, we can have the simple things. We can have the simple things. We have a plate of food, we have a bed, we have a warm bath. We can have the simple things. So just think how the simple things make you feel content, okay? It's an exercise and has to be done regularly, because if it's not done regularly, after 1 or 2 days, you'll forget it. You need to do it for a long time. Count every day. I'm grateful for this. I'm content. I am, really. And my mind's going here because I think if I got this, I'm going to be happier. Well, I really. If it's good for me, it will come. If it's meant for me, it will come. It will come. It will happen. And if it's not, it won't happen. But I'm not going to lose my peace. I'm not going to lose my contentment. I am content. And then you walk on the beach, and then you do a mantra in your head, whichever mantra you choose. And then you start to uplift yourself. Then you start to learn, and this is a really good time when you're practicing these observances, contentment, to learn how powerful that you really are, how much strength you really do have, and how much help you get from within yourself. And that is amazing. Wow! I never knew I had this strength. I never knew I could do this. And that gives you the encouragement to follow your dreams, to follow who you are, to be who you were really born to be. Because you only have one chance to do that in this body. Please don't waste time. Tick tock. Time goes so quick. I started to say, first I had a baby's body, then I was 18, and then I was 40, and then I was 50, and I had grandchildren. Now my grandchildren are 23, 21, 16, 14, and 12. Where did the time go? Where did it go? And I can say happily, even though we face so much hardship, my family has over the years, every year just gets better. For me and those who live around me, because those are the people I can influence. And that's all I can say, even with the pain, especially with the pain. Because pain helps you to see, to move forward after you get through it, to a different place, a totally different place. It takes time to get through it. But when you get through and you come through it and you're out of it, whoa, you're a different human being. And this is what Sri Patanjali talks about next. Accepting pain for purification. And the Sanskrit word is tapas. Accepting pain for purification. Accepting pain for purification. Pain is a difficult thing because we all try to avoid it. We all seek pleasure and avoid pain. The more we avoid pain, the more we attract it to ourselves. Because as you think, it becomes. I always say, when you love somebody, you think about them all the time. When you hate somebody, you think about them all the time. What is the difference? When you love somebody and you think about them all the time, your heart gets a warm glow. When you hate somebody, you think about them all the time, your heart suffers, your mind suffers, and your life suffers. But they both exist in your mind, like the good wolf and the bad wolf. Which one do you choose? And pain comes to all of us. We just can't avoid it. And my master used to say, no pain, no gain. And what I have seen in my counseling work is when people go through the extreme bad time, that's when they ask, there must be something else. There must be something better in this world. And they start to search for the inner meaning of life. And they start to realize, oh my God, I lived in this black cloud where everything was to do with what people thought of me, what I would say, judging all day long, or being controlled or controlling, or being a narcissist or being attacked by a narcissist. All these things happen. And then suddenly they realize, I don't want to do this anymore. I want a different life. Because they've gone through so much pain. It's the pain that makes them want a better life. Otherwise, they just stay in a place in hell, what I call hell, for many, many, many years. And I've seen this. And, you know, I've seen people be together for 20 years and swearing all day at each other. And I go, hell's not anywhere else. It's right here, guys. It's right here. You're living in hell. Let's change it into a heaven, please. Please change it. And that's in our hands. We just have to make decisions. Simply make a decision. When I moved here, I said, nobody argues in this home. Nobody has argued in this home, ever. 13 years. They may have disagreed, but not scream, not shout, no swearing. Not allowed in this home. You make a decision, you create the atmosphere, and you stick by it, but you have to practice it first. You have to practice it. If you don't bother to make rules. Get it? And then you make your own heaven. You make your own heaven. And I always say, heaven is in your home. Make it in your home. So here he says, by austerity, impurities of the body and senses are destroyed and occult powers gained. What does this mean? Many people go into spirituality and they think they have to be very austere. You have to be very poor. Somebody asked me this question the other day. The person come to see me, not really understanding what spirituality meant. And he said, well, for me to be spiritual, does it mean that I should, don't the monks sleep on very hard floors? I started laughing. I said, you don't need to do that. You're not a monk. Because would that make me a better person? I said, no, I think you probably ended up with a bad back. And that's the truth. And he said, yeah, that's what I thought. And I thought, how interesting, right? How we put austerity to mean we have to treat ourselves badly. And then I'd like to read to you the description in the Gita. This is another text that I absolutely love, that talks about austerity. And people think they have to starve their bodies in order to find the divine, or they have to, go away and lock themselves in a cave for 6 months to find the divine. And this is not the way forward. Yes, you need time and silence. Yes, you probably need the education to train the mind first. But it's not the austerities that make you divine. And here he says, those who choose extreme or violent austerities, not advised in scripture, are hypocrites, motivated by ego, lust, and personal attachments. They are fools to torture their innocent bodies so, for in their demonic resolve, they also torture me because I live in their very bodies. So here he's talking about, we see this, right? People, if you go to India, you will see people putting, I don't know if you've been to India, things into their mouth, forks into their tongue, and they have their arm, like Gurudev explains, out just to show. And then the arm gets very, very thin, and they show how long they can hold their arm there. And they walk on fire to show they can walk on fire. Well, what is the point of that? It's to show off, right? I can do this. Oh, look how powerful I am. Oh, I can mesmerize all of you so you follow me. What's the point? It's true, isn't it? And I was reading the story of a great saint called Ramakrishna, and he tells the story of one of his disciples, which just makes you feel sensible again, He says, he had this disciple who said, Master, I really, really want to get self-realization. Yes, practice every day, meditate every day. But then he thought, you know what? I'd love to walk across the water. So every day he would do, if you do enough pranayama, which is the breathing technique, your body can become light. These are yogic skills. I just don't waste my time on that, right? Thanks to Ramakrishna's story. And because you can do it, you can create, you can actually, levitate with these things. And so 12 years, every day, lots of breathing. I want to walk on water. Every day he would try. Anyway, 12 years pass, and he walks across the water. And he goes to his master. He said, Master, look at me. How great I am. I can walk across the water. And the master said, how long did it take you to do that? And he said, 12 years. And he said, well, I pay the boatman 1 rupee to get For what does it benefit a man to gain the whole world at the cost of his own soul? Lord Jesus, for what does it benefit us? So you walk on water, everything's you great, everybody worships you, but where does that get them? Where does it get them? Does it get them peace, or do they all feel they have to walk across water to get peace? Do you see? So you really have to be quite realistic with spirituality. Oh, this fancy stuff doesn't buy it for me. Sorry, please forgive me. For me, what buys it for me is a simple soul that just lives a good life as best as you can. That makes sense to me because I can see value in that. I can see people growing for that. I can see families growing from that. I can see when parents do the work, the children get blessed. I can see generations benefit from them. But to walk on water? Yeah, you walked on water? So there are many people, we've seen them also in Easter time, right? They all kind of hit themselves and put nails on their hands. And here Lord Krishna said, why are you doing that to your body? I never asked you to do that to your body. I never asked you to torture your body. And I met people who tried to starve themselves for 6 months thinking they'll get self-realization. I said, didn't you learn from Buddha? What did he say? He starved himself, it didn't work. He learned the middle path. Not too much, not too little. Middle path. Purity. What is purity? Neutrality. Middle path. When you see a scale, middle path, not too much, not too little. We're also here to enjoy little our lives. We're not here to show off how far we go in life. That's not the point. There's a lot in here on accepting pain for purification. There's so much. This is such an incredible sutra because that's really all of us. That's what we do. Before I came into this path, avoid pain, avoid pain. When I got pain, stress out, anxiety, can't breathe, can't sleep because we can't pay a bill, we can't do this, the shop's falling, we could flood it in the shop, flood it in the house. Anxiety, 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 right? And after I studied this, it's life. There's a solution to everything, no big deal. House got flooded, clean it up, it'll dry up. You know, and that's the change of attitude. That's the change. And Buddha says, before enlightenment, chopping wood and collecting water. After enlightenment, chopping wood and collecting water. That's all that happens. Your whole attitude changes. Your attitude changes towards what pain is. And then when you see the benefits of it and how, and many people I know here have gone through extreme pain and how they've come through it, and you see what they've made of their lives after it and go, if you didn't have the pain, you wouldn't be who you are today. And then they can actually laugh about it, and that's when you know they've healed. That's when you know, oh my God, you finally healed, because you can laugh about it. And that's when you grow from the inside and you can really live again. And that's what this study is, so that we can just live a simple, good life. Time doesn't wait for any of us. It just doesn't wait. So it's really important that we spend as much of our time as we can connecting with that great soul force or higher self. And you know, because you stop having so many thoughts. Like, for example, I often give this as an example. When I'm cooking, I'm doing my mantra, and really that's all my thought. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to make it really different. I'm going to add this herb, or let me put a bit more tomato. But there's no 1,000 thoughts like it used to be. In fact, I actually thought that this morning. Hey, I'm just making the tea and I'm just doing my mantra and I'm not having any other thought. How easy. And I go, thank you, Divine. And that was the thought that came. Thank you. How nice to get up with just that thought. Get the tea ready, get the coffee ready, take it to the bedroom. Good morning. Good morning, life. Good morning, God. We always open the curtains. Go, good morning, life. Good morning, God. And good morning, God. Good morning, whatever you are. Good morning. Good morning. And that's the only thought. How easy is life when you do that, right? So practice. I've been practicing a long time. I still fall. But every day is stronger and stronger, and every day is better and better. And that's what you can look forward to. And that's what we're born to look forward to. Every day a little better, okay?